Don't be afraid. Hold on. You'll find your way.
Welcome to Growth Made Groovy, where we talk about everything from healing medicine music, working through life challenges,
and developing awareness and connections as we heal and grow along our journey.
Hey everyone, I'm Caroline.
And I'm Noel. And welcome
to
Growth
Made Groovy.
Growth Made Groovy. I don't know. We mix it up each time, but welcome to Growth Made Groovy, the podcast.
The podcast.
Here on our Facebook group, Growth Made Groovy, Raise Your Vibe. Is it vibration or vibe? I don't forget.
Vibe.
Raise Your Vibe, right.
Yes.
That's the more...
Are you having technical difficulties over there? What's going on?
Yeah, the headphones go in and out. I keep stepping on them, but they're actually wireless. But to use them for the interface, I need to plug them in, and they're really not made for plugging.
Okay.
I mean, they have a plug, but anyways. Yeah. So welcome to episode 18.
18.
And on today's episode, we're going through our songs, and we're on our 18th song we wrote back in the end of 2019.
November 15th. I have to do my job here. Yeah, come on, just let me say the dates and all that fun stuff.
November 15th, 2019.
Yep.
And this one's called Just Surrender. And it's really a cool song. I think it's the first one where we wrote, where the music and that's what I look at first, obviously. The music, though, it's what the feel is for me. Was a fast beat and a slow beat, and a finger pick, as requested by you, because you really like the finger picking. And so I mean, and we'd done that once on the song for your mom. You didn't know how, but then I had shelved it until the next year. So this was the one where kind of our first time we really did it with a fast strum and a finger picking interlude, which is fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, it really was.
Well, I mean, I like a lot. I like all your downloads, your musical downloads. So yeah,
musical downloads. And for people that don't know what that means, the downloads is just a channeling. So I just pick up my guitar and whatever comes to me, chord wise or strum wise or finger picking wise or whatever, and I just go with that and then just build off of that, and then we write a song based on that.
You just hit pick up my guitar and play.
Yeah, there you go. Peter Townsend. That's right.
I always do that, but you know that. Nobody else knows that. If I hear a phrase or a lyric from a song, I always pull it
right to it, especially the classic rock genre.
Yes.
Just Surrender.
All the world seems hopeless. Nothing left to see. And the past has been broken. living my life every day. The world feels so insane, like I'm drowning in all the rain. Living each day and die. All I wanna do is scream and shout. Thing about the lonely road is it's missing part of the soul. Wants to find its way back home. Surrender is the goal. Time to surrender. Just let it be. Healing the world. Let it begin with me. If not now, when will it be? Thing about the lonely road is it's missing part of the soul. It wants to find its way back home. Surrender is the goal.
Well, here's something interesting. I was following my lyrics
Yes.
over here, and the second what's it called?
A verse.
Verse, the second verse, we changed it, and I have the old version of it.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I've
I
got
don't
the
know what
version
version
where
you're looking at.
you wrote in the words.
You have the ones where I wrote in the words. I have the old version, completely
That's fine.
the old version. So I'm
Wow.
watching it. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna have to follow along with
better.
you on that one because
That's
I don't know.
So, well, this is a song. So to go back, so we're kind of, it was a Saturday morning or something, and you had the desire. Let's write a song, and there it was. You know, I just literally downloaded this part.
Something was going on then because the hopelessness. What was going on around that time? Where everything
Well, I
was.
think we started working in the. Is that when you started coming to me with me to the treatment facility? I was doing the music therapy groups. Because this song we actually did for them to see, you know, because and of course in treatment, especially substance abuse, but you know it's about surrender to the addiction. Let it go is actually the paradox to gaining control of it again by letting go of the control and surrendering. And so, you know, but it surrenders in a lot of different healing modalities. But I think that's where we came up with this. But But yeah, no, this was definitely, you know, a song where it's like, let's write a song. I think we did it in a couple hours.
Well, I think most of our songs were written in a couple of.
No, that's true.
Listen, that blew
But sometimes
me away.
it wasn't all one sitting. Sometimes it was
Yeah.
come back the next day and finish it or whatever. This one was actually probably more of that, especially in the beginning. But this one was just in one sitting.
Yeah.
But then the first verse. Okay, so when all the world seems hopeless, with nothing left to see, and the past has been broken with all that was meant to be, I think about the homeless, and it's really me, feeling disconnected, just looking to be free. So, you know, that first line can resonate with a lot of people. We've all been there. I definitely have been there. When all the world seems hopeless with nothing left to see. Like, what's the point? That's the kind of the energy I get from that. And the past has been broken with all that was meant to be, meaning that, you know, there's a disconnect from, you know, the trauma in life, you know, different traumas that happen. This is what comes up for me. Think about the homeless, people that are currently in a very challenging, trying time, you know, obviously, to live homeless. And it's really me. Is what's the difference between me, you, him, her, them, they. You know, it's how we're all the same entity of beings, human beings, you know, experiencing this life. Feeling disconnected, just looking to be free, which is, you know, the connection of that, you know, the disconnection of that, and connection with another that is feeling that, and then finding that sense of freedom. So that's what comes up for me in the first verse.
Surrender is something that I have been learning how to do every day since I've left South Florida, and it's gotten more potent recently. And so listening to these words right now, hearing the back meaning, I mean, I don't remember quite what I thought back then when we wrote them, but you know, obviously there's hopelessness out in the world now. It's not just when we wrote this. It seems to be getting stronger and more profound, and with nothing left to see. It's like being in that space of hopelessness. It's hard to everything seems dim out in the world, or to look out into the world. It's not really our job as humans to be looking out into the world, because whatever we have inside, when we are healed, is not hopeless. So we see the positive, you know, the good parts and even the not so good parts inside, but there is something to be seen. The second line, the past has been broken with all that was meant to be, kind of fell in some. I thought about what we had talked about kind of before we got on this thing here. It's like, just because something breaks apart doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's part of the surrender into who we are. It's part of our journey. It's part of our healing process. And I don't think there was really ever anything that was meant to be. I don't think meant to be is a certain way, because you talk, Noel, about being in the present moment. And there is no meant to be in the present moment.
No, I guess the meant to be is an expectation, you know, what we want. Or
what we
feel
wanted.
like it's supposed to be, you know, whatever the case may be.
And that's hard. That makes it harder on us because of that expectation, because we wanted it to be a certain way and we assumed it was going to be that way, or we've been trained to assume it was going to be that way, or whatever it was. Like, you know, even in marriage, it's like the vows. And then we get divorced and those vows just go, that's it, we're done. And, you know, I mean, there's an expectation of that, but that's not how things work, because everything is so fluid in life. I think about the homeless, and it's really me. That is for me, that's the duality of being human and of being, of bringing, like, coming home to myself within my soul. Just because there's nothing there for me externally, and it's hard for me to say this because I'm still trying to come to grips with this one. It's like, if everything falls apart and it's meant to be that way, so I can learn something from life with it, and say I did become homeless, that's part of that process, and being able to surrender into that is also part of how things work. I'm not saying I'd not fight it emotionally, obviously, but I do understand. I have a level of understanding of that, of being in that coming home to myself space where I am always home. I'm not really ever homeless. None of us are.
That's right.
And then feeling disconnected, just looking to be free. That's, again, our expectations of what we think things should be out in the world, because when we're connected to ourselves, we are free. When we love ourselves, love is freedom. Love is freedom even within relationship. If we love the other person and have no expectations of them, of who they are, how they behave, whatever any of that is, there is a freedom in that. So once we learn that, and understand it, it helps. Not knowing that, I just learned that today too. Not knowing it puts that kind of pressure on, and then the disconnection shows up. That's how I view it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's powerful. And then, I mean, the reality is these verses were basically focused on centered on the pain, you know, I mean, the hurting of what people go through in depression and addictions and just life, you know, and anxiety and all this kind of stuff. And then our little chorus is where the solution is. So, and then the chorus, the thing about the lonely road is it's missing part of the soul that wants to find its way back home. Surrender is the goal. So going back to that term home is what you said earlier. So the thing about the lonely road, and it's funny because that's kind of an homage back to our first song, Long and Lonely Road, is it's missing part of the soul, which is actually in that song we say, we do call, you know, traveling with my soul. So it's fun.
Yeah.
So, you know, long and lonely road, traveling with my soul. So this one, the thing about the lonely road is it's missing part of the soul, because if we're lonely, we're not connected with who we really are, with our own self and our source. And so we're disconnecting with that part of the soul. And that part of the soul that wants to find its way back home, so surrender is the goal. Way back home is just that wholeness, the unity of self, higher self, and connection with others. And so that's really what the surrender helps to do, at least in this case.
Right. And this one was really profound for me when I heard it, because I haven't listened to this in I don't even know how long. And I was like, loneliness and being alone are two different things. Loneliness is a feeling.
Yes.
Being alone is a choice.
Yes. Yes.
And so the lonely road is the human being. And that's why it's missing part of the soul, because the soul is all about choosing to be alone with a higher power, ourselves, whatever that is.
Well, it's like the difference between solitude and isolation. Solitude is the choice of connecting with self and source. Isolation is disconnecting from self, source, and others. So
yes. Yeah. So that's and you had explained that this was like the actual we're gifting you with the way out.
Solution. That's
right. The solution is
this is
how to do this.
We're gifting you means we're gifting me, us, you know what I mean? Because it's, you know, let it begin with me. You know
yes. And then again, you know, like that wants to find its way back home. We're all looking for that home, whatever that is. And a lot of people will go back to their original place where they grew up thinking that that's it, or they want to find a new place thinking that's what it is. And
or with a new wife or a new husband or a new boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. But we had this last week, healing our way home. Home is where the heart is. Home is connecting with self on every level, internally and externally.
Yes, and surrender is not an easy thing to do. And it's something that it's like just learning to sit with the surrender and allowing whatever is going to happen is... I can't tell you how many times I wanted to fight that. And at some points I was like, all right, I give, I can't do this anymore.
And that's the surrender. People, you know, I like the way you said that. I give, because there's I give and I give up. Now I give up sometimes works too, but I give up, the quitting of I give up is not surrender. Sometimes it could be that one word, but it's mostly I give up means I don't want to I don't want to deal with it. I give means I give, surrender. That means that I let go. I let go of trying to control and trying to fix and change and overcome and solve and all that. I give, and then that's when the solution does come within that.
And, I just had my download, and in that, giving is the gift of release and healing. So when you give, when you say I give, you're actually gifting all your crap out, and it opens that space up for healing. Wow. That was impressive.
Nice. Very good.
Okay, I'm going to have to let you take the lead on this one because we're moving into the one I don't have the right words.
All right, yeah. So, but you'll remember them. So,
do one line at a time and let me answer when you do.
Struggling through all the rife. In my heart, it cuts like a knife. So that's kind of self-evident as I struggle through the pain in life, the rife, so to speak. In my heart, it cuts like a knife, the brokenheartedness of loss and trauma and pain.
And just the feeling of like desperation and just humanity is all in there.
Yes. Yeah, right. The human experience. The spiritual being having a human experience. So the second line, the deepest part is the wrenching pain, ain't living my life in vain. So the deepest part of the hurt, of this life is of this struggle or suffering is the wrenching pain, which is part of life. It's the duality that we have this loss and this energy of hurt. And then the second part of that line is the statement, ain't living my life in vain. There's a point to it. I need to walk through it.
Well, and it's a point of using the surrender to pull yourself out of the pain. So, I mean, we all have, I don't like using the word purpose because it isn't necessarily a physical purpose, but the purpose of us being here is to learn through healing and growth and all, working through that. And that just, when you work through the pain and you have growth and everything, you start to see on the other side that it isn't in vain, that things start to open up for you. And I can say that because I'm doing it right now. And seeing how, oh God, this hurts. I don't want to deal with it, and then just doing the gift. And then now I see, it's like I'm getting all these inspirational thoughts of different new things to do and be and move forward with and shift. And it's like every time you release it opens that space up. So your life isn't in vain. My life is not in vain because I see the changes. I can see myself as a different person and how I handle things.
Yeah, and that's the claim. Ain't living my life in vain. You know what I mean? And so, but it's a claim because if you don't make that statement to yourself, you know what I mean? It can become that. Can slip away. So, and then the next line, the world feels so insane, like I'm drowning in all the rain. And so that kind of metaphor, drowning in rain, you know what I mean? Because the rain just keeps coming, the pain keeps coming. The world is so out of sorts, out of control. That's the energy of that line to me.
And this is the time within that to surrender because there's nothing you can do. You do not have control. I'm like a control freak. I have been a control freak my entire life. And that's what the challenge was for me. And the recognition that it's all going on and the opportunity to surrender into it is always there. And because surrender is a direct connection with source, however you see source.
That's right. Yeah. However you feel, experience source. Then the last line of that verse is, living each day in doubt, all I want to do is scream and shout. And doubt is another word for fear. So living each day in fear and doubt, all I want to do is scream and shout. And that, again, so the second verse is again going back to the struggle, the pain, the suffering of what not surrendering does in this duality. And that's where that fourth line got to me.
And I'd like to add in there that with all of these things that go on, and you brought up the word grief, fear. I had read something earlier today that talked about C.S. Lewis wrote a book called A Grief Observed. And in the book, he says this: grief feels like fear. So within all of these things that are going on in the world, within ourselves, with each other, whatever that is, the grief is the healing part. And you're actually surrendering within the grief, you're surrendering the pain through the emotions to let them out. And then you're releasing that fear. You're releasing that, what was the other word that was used on there? I don't have it on my
Doubt.
Doubt. Yeah. And once that's released, the doubt, it goes away. It really goes away. It's weird. It's like even the fear doesn't feel as fearful anymore as it used to. And I'm learning that. I'm working.
Yeah, no, I like what he says. It feels like fear.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like fear, but it's not fear. But that's the conundrum of being human. It feels like fear, so most humans just stay in the fear of that and avoid the grief. But once you actually walk through it, and again, the opposite of doubt, the opposite of fear is love. The opposite of doubt is certainty. And so the certainty is in letting go of trying to be certain. Again, very paradoxical. And then that's when you have the certainty in that greater knowing. Mm-hmm. And that's where the surrender comes in.
And there's also a piece in there where it's like the duality shows up again. It's like we're all capable of doing both of everything,
That's right.
We're all
even after we quote unquote get it, you know what I mean? We can still slip back in. Or even if we never get it, we could all of a sudden have a moment of awareness and awakening. So there is no it's just a practice of the knowing,
Mm-hmm.
the consistent practice. Which is in our little bridge prelude, which you sing very nicely, is time to surrender, just let it be, healing the world, let it begin with me. If not now, when will it be? That kind of says it all right there. And again, I really like how you sing that. It's very gentle and sweet because it's coming from the divine feminine, which has the strength in that gentle sweetness is the strength of power, because it's time to surrender. Just let it be. It's healing the world. Let it begin with me, because that's all we truly can heal. And that's what we need to heal, is the best we can possibly be. And if not now, when will it be? Which is the only time is now. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that because you were plucking.
Yes, finger pick, yes.
Finger picking, plucking, picking. It's a picking and a gritting. Not only did that create that that like openness in that what did you call it? The bridge.
Yes, the interlude. Yeah,
interlude. That's what So the picking for me created that openness, and thank you for saying that I did that well. It created that openness to feel what it felt like to sing those words, because when I know this, I can't explain it because I've done it for myself, and it's not easy to explain this. But when we surrender and we just let go, and we're just like, all right, this is the let it be. This is the I give. This is it is what it is in the moment. This is the opening in the moment, the void in the moment, whatever you find or see or whatever, that just created this openness for me to sing that way. We all want the world, most of us, I don't generalize, most of us want the world to heal. The only way to get the world to heal is to start with ourselves.
Yes.
And in doing so, we are going inside and connecting and learning how to love ourselves. And what happens is we have no control over what's going on out there. But when we shift our energies inside of us and we learn how to love ourselves, it automatically goes out there, and you start to see things differently. You start to meet different people. You don't see the horrible things that you've been, trained to watch for in the past. You start to see beauty. You start to see kind people start walking up to you and they're like, hey, instead of nasty people who are in a bad mood or whatever. That's what that's for. It attracts. When you are like in that space, it attracts that. And of course, the last line, here we are in the moment. We can't change it in the future. The only time and place that we can change it in, there really isn't any time. This is no time. Moment is not a time. It's a place. It's a space. This is it, man. This is it. Even us sitting here doing this in this moment, this is it. So when will it be? Right now.
Yes. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks.
That's it.
That's
the
it.
last thing is just, again, it's the thing about the lonely road is it's missing part of the soul that wants to find its way back home. Surrender is the goal. And so, yeah, I mean, that's it. So really, yeah, one of our more powerful songs that we definitely played over and over again in the treatment center, because I think we really wrote it for them, really wrote it for ourselves, for them, for the world, whatever. But, and however it was received, it was still very potent to be in a place where people are somewhat homeless, literally, and in lots of pain, and in no desire to want to process anything and sit in the pain. The whole desire is to escape the pain. And to sing this song of the surrender was really potent and powerful.
That goes along with the whole thing about those were beautiful, beautiful people. I could see it in their existence. I was watching them, and it's like they're so the feeling lost. I have never had a substance addiction, but just watching them and the energy, it was like there's a beauty in there, and they're not at home. They're not at home in their hearts, and they're lost. And that's, to me, tell me if I'm wrong, is where the addiction comes in, because it's the only escape route because they can't get in there because it's dark as hell in there.
That's right. And
they don't want to go in there. And sometimes, most of us don't want to go in there because it's dark. But the whole thing is that when we surrender, we open the window and shine a light in on the dark.
Everything's open.
It's not dark anymore.
Yeah, but to do so, you have to surrender from the behaviors that keep you from being able to get into that light. And so, so the song is, it was really powerful. Still is. I'm glad we shared it today of all days. Because today, no matter when it is, whenever you hit the play button or whatever, whether it's today, it's always today. It's always right now. And that's what we're sharing with you in this moment. And so we're grateful that you are here listening or watching or hopefully sharing yourself and commenting, connecting. And please, feel free to do so with us here, Growth Made Groovy. And with that, much love to you all. And just the best to you in this moment and the next.
And do your best. Do your best, let go of the rest.
Be yourself, do your best, and let go of the rest.
And when you have the opportunity to either lose your mind and can't figure a way out and try to control things, surrender. Try it out. See if it works.
We all need to do it. I just did it before this. I'm doing it right now.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah. All right.
We'll see you on the next one.
Okay. Have a great day wherever you are.